Well, welcome to the RC Wall Vacuum channel. Well, today's kind of a monumentous day because I get to do some demo testing on this thing and start doing the debugging. So before we get to that, let's do a quick walk around of now that it's kind of mostly assembled. So I got most of the chain linkage and stuff set up in there. One thing I was having problems with, and it's also preventing me from running this at full scale, is because I'm missing some set screws. I had to rig something up in there for that. I got to get some set screws this week. I had a lot of problems trying to keep things together. The two things that have been giving me issues on this thing has been vibration off that engine. You can see I try to correct some of that, is doing some tests on it to see how that's going to work. And the other issues, I got that monitor up there, I'm going to throw that thing in the garbage. It's been a really irritating piece of shit. And you will see during the run test why I'm cursing the thing. It's been a problem from day one. You know, it started glitching even when I didn't have an engine on there. It was when I was running the servos. I thought there was a problem with the power supply I had for it. I did some modifications of that. Seemed like it fixed it, but then when I started running this thing with an engine, it started glitching again. So I switched over to the power supply that came from, and it worked for a little bit, and then I started acting up again. So I don't know what's going on with that. So over here, I just got something temporarily stuck in for the fuel tank. So way in advance, if you're watching this, I was going to leave that up to you guys to mount how you want it to, but if you want, I can build you a bracket to mount a 5T tank, and I'll have it set so it just bolts to this instead of weld this. So you need to remove it, you can. But let me know, either email me or in the comments what you want to do with that. But I got that just rigged up in there for now. Over here in the hydraulics, you can see that that's all together. In the quest to eliminate as much parasitic, well, in the quest to get this thing as accurate as possible, I wanted to eliminate as much parasitic restrictions as I could. So I went with the 3/4 inch hoses on this. Plus it gives the ability in the future to swap to a higher displacement pump and not have any issues. They have plenty of fluid flow. Downside is they kind of, well, I thought there might be an issue with them putting a little bit of load on that pump physically, so it wants to push on the torque arm onto the load cell. It really hasn't been an issue. They kind of counterbalance each other. This obviously is the inlet over here, and then the output's coming off the pump is going up through this way. You can see I got schedule 80 up on here at the high pressure end, and then I'm using 40 at the low pressure side of things. So I did load it up with some ISO 46. I was going to go with 32, but I decided to go a little bit thicker. But no, that can be changed out. Obviously, got the filter in there. The thing does have, I am using a flooded inlet gear pump, but I set the thing up over here on the drive lines. I got it removed now, but I set up so you can run a drill motor in this thing to do a slow prime to get any air out when you refill it, and that way you can prevent damage from cavitation. Over here in electronics, I did add a couple fans up there. Originally I wanted to seal this electronics up a lot better, but there was a lot of practical reasons I wasn't going to be able to do that. So that's what we're going with. And then this over here is the barometric pressure, temperature, and humidity sensor. And I can tell you the last couple of days the humidity sensor and the temperature sensor have been keeping busy on here. It's been sweltering. So like I mentioned before, the two main problems I've been having is the engine vibration, which I did not take that seriously enough when designing this thing. So I got to correct a lot of that. I got to basically two things: try to isolate the engine from the dyno as much as possible, and then isolate other things like the board and keyboard and the monitor from the engine vibration. So it's kind of a two-tiered thing. But it's already improved just a little bit I've done on here. And then the other issue has been this monitor. You can see when it's running, you'll notice it later in the demo. You start running up RPMs and it starts to get all kinds of crazy shit going on there, and then it just blanks out. So I don't know if it's an EMI issue or what. I'm not sure. I'm going to take care of that, but I'll have to get that solved. The other issue too is I have to figure out how this monster I created works. I was starting to get as the end in the demo run here. You see towards the end I was starting to get a feel for what it has to be, but I can't run it at full speed until I get the set screw issues taken care of over here. I'm missing set screws. There's some standard levels. There's standard style. And I only got metric here, and some of the stuff was missing them. I got things rigged in there, and so I got to be real careful about running it. But all the drive lines seems to be working real well. barring the vibration. The one thing that's been a real positive is that Raspberry Pi. That thing's been flawless. I've had no issues with that. With it glitching, nothing. It doesn't have any EMI problems, so that's been the encouraging part. The monitor is minor compared to the main computer being an issue. Microcontrollers are being pretty good. I did have one early in my test yesterday that the board separated because of the vibration. I got that isolated for now, and then that'll get better isolated later on. So I'm going to stick in the test, but be forewarned, turn your volume down. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to get your volume down because you will regret it if you don't turn down your volume. So without further ado, we'll run the demo and watch all the way to the end because you'll see early on that the monitor was glitching a lot, and towards the end it seemed to be improving. I was also getting a better feel for how to tune it. None of the numbers coming in make any sense right now because first of all, you got to be spinning it faster than what I was to get to proper horsepower numbers. And this load cell is not calibrated, so it's going to read high on the torque from what it really is. But one thing at a time. So, like I said, turn down your volume. Here comes the demo. Oh, and it just occurred to me, my little pea brain, that don't worry about your volume. I'll scrub that in processing of the video. So, don't worry about your volume.